Hello and welcome to the next webinar in our series, which is how to win the 2016 Student Startup Race. My name is James Schumark and I'm going to be your host for today. Thank you very much for joining us and booking into the event on Eventbrite and considering taking part in the competition. So the competition is for students who are registered at a Scottish university, whether they are postgrad, undergrad, or recent alumni. So if you are an entrepreneurial minded student, we want you to take part and just really concentrate on building your startup for days instead of having a internship or a job working in a pub where you're stacking shelves. We want you to really make the most of your summer holidays in growing your abilities to become an entrepreneur rather than just wasting those 2 months. And I've been a student myself. I got a degree from Edinburgh University in community education, and one of the best summer holidays I ever had was working as a janitor. So I was able to catch up with my coursework and get paid to sit in the sun and do reading. Fantastic deal. So I'm used to doing things differently over the summer holidays. I guess I'd like to also say that we want you to concentrate on building your business rather than entering pitching competitions or writing business plans that no one will ever read. So we hope that you will find today empowering and enable you to build a startup business more easily and effectively. Now, this is my 6th startup. The startup race is very young. We just incorporated on the 1st of June. We've been working on the idea for over a year. And with the startup race, we brought together ideas that certainly I've been wrestling with for the past 6 years or so, trying to get my head around the lean startup, trying to work out how to essentially make money and to have an impact and grow my own startup. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is the information that I've been able to glean from that. So just really going to be sharing some information on the 3 categories that we have for you to consider if you want to enter the competition. And there'll be a blog post released on our website that will have information on the topic that I've talked about today, and also with relevant links for you to find out the information that you need to follow up on the suggestions that we make. So let me just say, starting off, that it can be far easier to win the student startup race than you might think. So for instance, you can win the competition just by quizzers, generating £100 in revenue, or even crowdfunding £100. That might be enough for you to win if there's only a few people taking part. And there is cash prizes to be won at the end of the process. Of course, we really want you to be successful in growing your business. That's the main objective of the 2016 Student Startup Race, is to encourage you to become an entrepreneur and to enable you to be successful more quickly. We want you to avoid making the mistakes that most people make when they build a startup. So the other benefits, of course, is cash prizes from the various incubators in Scotland, and also possible investment deals from investors who are interested in learning more about you as an entrepreneur and watch your progress as you grow your company. So there's benefits to be had for taking part, and you, like I said before, it can be far easier for you to win the competition. And I guess the question you need to ask yourself is, can you do that? Can you raise £100 of revenue over the summer holidays? Can you acquire 100 users, crowdfund £100? I think you could agree with me that this is entirely possible. So I'd really like to encourage you to take part in the competition. Okay, this is based on the premise that we think that the opinion that really matters is your customers. It's not necessarily those people on a judging panel, those people who read business plans, or accountants, or lawyers, or what else. It's the people who really matter in determining whether you have an awesome product or service or not, is your customers. And so that's what we're just really trying to do, is to enable you to get out there and acquire more customers, generate more revenue Crowdfund rather than not doing those things. Rather than, I mean, I wasted months of my life in the past writing marketing plans and business plans, and earlier on this year I spent 2 weeks looking at a multi-sided business model spreadsheet cash flow forecast. It was useful, it was interesting playing around with these numbers to see what happens, but it was just a work of fiction. It wasn't real, it wasn't true, and the chances of it becoming real are incredibly slim. So we're walking away from all of those things, and we're actually we're walking the talk, trying to acquire customers, trying to generate revenue. Although it's only £10 to enter the startup student race, we're not in it to make the money with the student startup race. We're just really trying to prove that our service works, and we can find people who will use it. So that's why I'm really grateful that you're here today and you're watching this video if you missed the live hangout on air. Okay, so if you want to, so the 3 categories in which I'm going to talk through today. The first one is acquiring users, the second one is generating revenue, and the third one is crowdfunding, like I mentioned earlier. But of course, there's one thing you need to do right at the very beginning, is that you need to set a goal, something that you want to achieve, because there is a law, Pearson's law: whatever is measured, that improves, and when that measurement is reported back, that improvement accelerates. And it's also akin to the idea of target fixation. Pretty much we achieve what we focus our minds on. If you believe in the law of attraction, the more you think about something, the more likely you are to achieve it. So we're encouraging you to set a goal, because if you're not working towards a goal, if you're just trying to work it out as you go, the chances are you'll end up somewhere else if you don't know where you're going to try to get to. So there's 3 things I really want to talk about in the first category, acquiring users for your startup. So the first one is, and not many people actually talk about this, but this is something I've learned over the many years of mistakes that I've made in trying to build a startup, is that you need to leverage other people's networks. You might not have a very big network at the moment. Your email list might not be very, very big, but other people have big lists and other people have big networks. And if you can persuade them to promote you, then the chances are that they have a following that will. There's 2 benefits from that. One, that if whoever's promoting you, that will be a form of social proof. So the person who gets the email from the company or the organization that they're following will think, wow, they've endorsed this idea, this product, this service, then it must be trustworthy, or a good idea, so let me consider it. And the second benefit, of course, is that you are able to capture that user's email yourself, and you're able to grow your own lists. And this is the world of referral marketing or joint venture marketing, which is very popular in America at the moment, and many million-dollar businesses are built on this premise. And we've been lucky enough with the student startup race to get people with large networks to promote us, and that's how you are watching this video today. So for instance, you maybe received an email from your university, you maybe received an email from, or somebody else that you know who is an influential person and or organization and has told you about us. So we're walking the talk here. We're not going to suggest you do anything that we're not going to put into practice ourselves. So now you can spend 18 months, 2 months solid, trying to be heard in the noise that is online, and you don't like to get emails that are irrelevant or people spamming you about their offers. And so this is a strategy that I really want you to do. You know that knows you, that has a similar shared objective that you have, that will be prepared to promote you. Now there's two growth engines that Eric Ries talks about, and he's the author of the Lean Startup. He talks about the viral engines of growth and the paid engines of growth. Now, for viral engines of growth to work and to help you to acquire users, then it is newsworthy or is interesting, and people are incentivized to share it. Now, in some ways, we're kind of blurring the boundaries here with affiliate marketing, but this is a a strategy where you actually give the person who promotes you a commission off the product or service that you're selling, and it's very often 50% is, if it's under £1,000, is common affiliate marketing referral fee. Now you might think that's very expensive, but and I'll come onto this in the second part in generating revenue. The idea is for you to acquire a lifetime customer. Now, as long as the cost is cheaper than acquiring that customer, you'll make a profit. Now, of course, if it's the other way around, you won't. So the viral engines of growth, and the best way to describe them is that people create something they're excited to share. So, for instance, YouTube is a great example of this. So they upload a video, they make a video, upload it, and then they want other people to watch. YouTube benefits from its users sharing the stuff that they've made on its platform. So think about your startup and what you're trying to do, and whether you can find a way to enable your users to talk about what you've enabled them to achieve. So that's the main way that viral engines of growth work. The paid engine of growth, of course, is pay-per-click, Facebook ads, advertising, Twitter advertising, headhunting people on LinkedIn. These are where you have a formula, A plus B equals C, and as long as it, again, costs you less to acquire a customer, then you'll be making a profit. Now, getting into Facebook advertising or Google AdWords or pay-per-click or SEO is an expensive activity, and if you know someone who, or you can find a team member, a co-founder to join the team, then that can be a cost-effective way for you to achieve this goal. I wouldn't suggest that you learn this stuff yourself if you're not familiar with it, but to actually work to your strengths and to grow your co-founding team by finding people who are strong in this area. We move on to the second category, which is on generating revenue. So if you want to compete and try to generate £100 or more in revenue, then I want you to consider three things. The first one, again, is a strategy that not many other people talk about, but people to behave as if they are your customer. Think how we feel affects what we do. But this William James is a Victorian psychologist who is very much ignored and not recognized, and there's been hundreds of psychological studies done in this field, actually demonstrates that the way we behave far more powerfully affects how we think. So it's the opposite of what the dominant way of thinking is. So if you can get a visitor to your website, or a potential customer to start behaving as if they are a customer, then you will more likely acquire them and they will start to pay you money. Now, one of the things that one of the mistakes that many people make is they put barriers in the way of their customers. So it's very often, sign up to our website, or give us your email. Or do, there's these doors, essentially it's like door knocking, I call it. If you have to, and some of the mistakes I made with my websites in the past and my businesses is that very often people had to knock on 3 doors before they could actually find something they could buy, or a tool or resource that they could use that would get them behaving like they're a customer of mine. And so what I do now is we've actually practiced this with the Startup Race website. If you come to our homepage, it's not the student page, but the homepage, you can click take action. So there is a survey that enables you to consider the different areas of your startup's growth, and that is, in a sense, is us getting our visitors to start behaving like they are one of our customers. So think about what you're trying to do. Are there barriers that you have put in place before someone can buy a product from you? Now, of course, the other thing is that people overcomplicate the whole process, and like I've said in previous talks, what you need to try to do is to create what's called a minimum revenue product. So that this is the smallest thing that someone can buy from you, the smallest thing that you can start to learn whether people want what you have to offer or not. So this can be an ebook, or it can be a small widget or something that you create. It can be a small event. So for instance, the startup race, it's only £10 to take part. This is our smallest revenue product. In the future, it will cost far more to take part in our competitions. So think about what is the smallest thing that you can create for yourself to try to take part. Okay, or sorry, you can use to your customers. Now, this leads on to escalating price points. Now, what you want to try to achieve is to get that potential customer behaving like, well, I've already talked about that, but you want to get them used to paying you money. And once they've paid you £10 or a very small amount, they've put their credit card details in your website. They have formed a channel in their brain almost that says, I pay this person for the service that they deliver to me. So think about and I like to think about it as a pyramid. So you have at the bottom of the pyramid, you have your cheap minimum revenue products, and you kind of escalate in price all the way up to your premium offerings. So something that costs 10 times as much as your minimum revenue product. So think about that. What I call it escalating price points. So it's easier so you get people to come, and the most expensive acquisition or the most expensive price is your first customer. That is the thing that is most costly, and upselling to your existing customers is always far cheaper and more cost effective for you. But yet not many startups upsell the different products or higher value products to our customers. So I would like you to consider doing that. Is where you look for repeat business. So perhaps it's and obviously you do need to use some system to track where people are at, whether they've actually just bought your first product or service, and whether they bought the second, because you don't really want to try and downsell, because then they'll be thinking, why is this person trying to sell me something cheaper? It's will come across a bit odd. So great examples of the principles I've just talked about are, well, who do you think might be a good example? Who does this online that you have used personally, probably to buy some things from? Can you think of anything? Well, I'd like to say that eBay and Amazon are great examples of this. There's no door knocking whatsoever in these companies. Now, they've obviously had lots of money to invest in testing, building, and perfecting their system, so we were able to benefit from their learning. So if you log into Amazon now, if you're a registered customer, you want to do it in an incognito mode so they don't know who you are, and you can actually within 3 clicks get to a checkout where you're ready to pay money. Now, obviously, you come to Amazon and you start browsing, you start looking at something that's on the homepage, click, and then it takes you to that product page, and you're thinking, oh, this is quite interesting. So there you're behaving like a customer. You're browsing, you're looking at different things on offer, and it's almost like Pavlov's response starts. I want to buy something. The saliva starts being generated, and you can't look at Amazon for very long before feeling the desire you want to buy something. So this is this principle in action. And so you're behaving like a customer, and then you are at the checkout, and then before you know it, you are buying something, whether it's £10 or whether it's £30, £100. This is an example of the how these principles work. And of course, once you do register with Amazon or eBay is another great example. Generally, your purchases will increase because there are many things you want to buy, and you discover how convenient it is and how much time and effort it saved you from getting in your car and driving down to the shops and being frustrated at the lack of range of products that are available. Whereas with Amazon, I'm not endorsing Amazon or eBay, and that's the process that they've developed, getting people to actually behave as if they are customers, is very powerful and effective, and we can learn a great deal from them. So the second category that you can consider if you want to win the 2016 startup race is crowdfunding. you may be aware of the crowdfunding platforms that are available: Indiegogo, Kickstarter. There's numerous platforms out there that prove that this strategy can work, and it is beautifully efficient because you get the ultimate feedback from the platform. People will not invest in you if they don't like the idea that you created. And we're going to talk about the crowdfunding platforms in a minute, but there is another way that entrepreneurs have used to crowdfund their products. Now, so the goal is £100. Can you crowdfund £100? Maybe using Twitter or maybe using Facebook. But the idea is that you can follow people, or you can certainly identify people who are in your space, who are your potential customers, very effectively using these tools because they use hashtags. So, for instance, Michael Devlin with Core 150 was very successful in this with this strategy. So he was able to identify people who were really interested in fitness. He had a very narrow niche, so it made it easier for him to find people, potential. He had followed 40,000 people, and they'd followed him back, and he had a following. They were interested in his product. Now, of course, with crowdfunding, very often you need to have a video. And I was having one of the participants in the student startup race asked me whether he could take part or not, because what he was developing needed lots of field testing and patents and other things that before he could actually start generating revenue. And I said, well, you can actually sell a concept, or you can acquire a customer just by your vision statement or the thing that you're hoping to achieve. So Michael was able to get 40,000 people following him on Twitter who were really interested in what he was sell. He had made a video, and of course, that is probably the most expensive thing when you're considering the crowdfunding strategy. Is that you need to create a video that other people will will engage them, will make them think, wow, this is so fantastic, high. So even if you haven't got a budget, there's an opportunity for you to differentiate and to do something a bit different, something a bit more rustic or rough and ready, or it's there's. I mean, we're hoping that the student startup race will engage or attract people who are very innovative and are able to take a fresh perspective at what people have been doing for a long time. So maybe you can think of a different way to make a video that will really differentiate you from the other people without having digital millions of pounds. Maybe it can be just some kids, or it can be a bit edgy, a bit punky. There's different ways for you to make your video stand out from the rest of the videos on the market. Now, having said that, a good video is key. You also really need to work hard to bring people to whatever it is, whatever, if you're using a crowdfunding platform or using Twitter, you need to really work hard. It's up to you to acquire the people that are going to take part in your competition. It's not, you can't just put an awesome video or an edgy video out there and expect people to respond. You really need to work hard to get people to donate money. So obviously there's lots of people, there's lots of information. Like I said before, we will provide the information that you need to follow up with some of the suggestions that I've made on a blog post on our website. Hopefully that will go live this afternoon. We'd like to just really keep your momentum going. If you have any questions about some of the things that I've talked about, the different ways in which you can grow your startup, which category might be more appropriate for you, please do get in touch. My email is james@thestartuprace, very simple, .com at the end, sorry, james@thestartuprace.com. Send me an email and I'll give you some, if you ask me a question, I'll give you an answer quickly and promptly, because our goal is to help you to be successful. This is the only reason why we are running the student startup races. We want Scottish entrepreneurs who are registered at Scottish universities to be more successful. We're trying to offer a different way of being successful in this space. We feel that we're trying to turn the tables. Actually, once you start progressing in your journey as an entrepreneur, the dominant way of thinking is that you then need to go and chase down investors. And investors sit in a room and they have all these people, all these startup founders pitching at them. And investors are in position of power. They're able to say, we want to invest in that company, not in that company. We're hoping to turn the tables, essentially. So we're hoping to enable entrepreneurs like yourself to be successful and to start having the metrics investors look for. So for instance, if you go on an angel list where a lot of startups are registering and looking for investment, look at the questions that investors are asking. What kind of traction do you have? What kind of revenue do you have? How have you grown your team? These are all critical things that very often people don't mention. And I saw one of my friends was pitching, and he gave a friend his slides were fluid, his delivery was very charismatic, and he was fielding the questions from the judging panel very well until the last question, and they said, do you have any users yet? And guess what his answer was? No. What a shame that he didn't have any users, that he hadn't acquired any users. And he could have won that competition. He could have gone on to great heights if he was able to say, yes, I have some users, and this is the response I'm getting, and they're my B2 users, and they love what we're trying to solve with our tool. So we're hoping that you can win the 2016 student startup race without having to do any pitching whatsoever, without having to write any business plans whatsoever. We want you to get out there and to try and either acquire users because you've got a product that is attractive and they really follow you because you're trying to do. You generate revenue, having a minimum revenue product and escalating value pyramids, but of course without any barriers to prevent them from discovering and getting your service and paying you money for it. Now, I would of course say there's one other thing I forgot to mention. If you're running a service, then you can productize your service. So, for instance, I offer business coaching in the lean startup methodologies, and I'm going to create an offer where people can buy 1 hour coaching from me. They can buy 7 hours coaching from me, or 10, maybe 10 coaching sessions for the price of 7, and they can buy it with a click of a button. And I'll get paid. If you're running a service or consultancy, think about how you can productize your offering, so make it easy for people to buy from you. You do need to have an offer online that people can buy, and too many startups waste too long actually getting their offers out there and getting by enough eyeballs. So think about eyeballs. How can you get your offer in front of as many people as possible? Then you need to leverage other people's networks. Don't put any barriers in front of people who want to buy or try your products. Okay, get them behaving as if they're your customers, and have an escalating upsell model. And of course, crowdfunding. You can make an edgy video. You can do something disruptive on Twitter. I was watching a presentation about a digital company, how they use pigeons to monitor the smog and pollution in London, and the fact that they would use competition amongst the team to see who could come up with the craziest or most different idea, and they settled on pigeons, and it went around the world. The fact that this company was using pigeons flying around London monitoring the air was just very newsworthy. So think outside the box about what you can do differently to get people's interest, to be heard amongst the noise. And yeah, think about social media. How it costs you very little to use Twitter to find people who are interested in your products. It costs you very little to use Facebook unless you are using the paid engines of growth. And it is a real specialized, difficult industry. I would not recommend that you learn how to do that yourself, but actually find someone who can do it for you. And my friend John Daniels, he's Maverick Marketing. He's my go-to guy in this regard. So if you want to check him out, and or if you want to ask me for his email, just let me know. Okay, so we're approaching the end of our half-hour slot here. I hope that I've been able to help you to understand that, hey, you can win this competition just by generating £100. Now, of course, if we have more people taking part in the competition, then that challenge will become harder. But the thing is that we're trying to incentivize you to take action and avoid making the mistakes that everybody else makes, because easier than you might think to be successful as an entrepreneur. So again, if you have any questions, please email me. My email is james@thestartuprace, and my mission is to help you to be successful. So I hope that you'll give it a go. Okay, all the best. Thanks. Bye.